Hey everyone, I'm Trevor, and today we're at Disneyland to share with you our first-time visitor's guide, from how to book your vacation to what to do when you get here. It's going to be all-inclusive, so let's get going. For our first-timers guide to Disneyland, we are going to organize this on stuff that you need to do before your trip, stuff that you need to do right before your trip, and then stuff that you need to do when you get here. So we're gonna start with the very first step that you need to make as a first-timer coming to Disneyland, and that is determining how far out to book your Disneyland vacation. Now, if you wanna book a ticket-only package, you can only book those 6 months out at Disneyland. But if you want to book a ticket hotel package, you can do up to a little over a year. So today, right now, is September 2024 as of the time of this filming, and I can book a package through the Disneyland website through December 2025. Now, I originally planned to put this video together in January of this year. Just did not work out to do that. So we're getting around to it here in September. When I checked in January, it was only available through December of this year. So I don't know when it ticks over, but it seems to go through December of whatever year they're allowing tickets for. So December of 2025 currently as of the time of this filming if you're booking a package. Now, you can also book with Getaway Today if you don't want to book a Disneyland hotel. It's our preferred Disneyland vacation provider, Getaway Today. There's a link down in the description that you can use, which will get you my discount, my rates for my viewers, as well as a coupon code that will save you $10 additionally on top of whatever discounted rates they give you. I've priced out Getaway Today packages in the past, and they save on average $150 to $250 per trip. So it may not be earth-shattering if your trip is $3,000 or $4,000, but hey, $200 is $200 you wouldn't have saved booking direct through Disneyland's website. So I definitely recommend checking out Getaway Today. But you can book either 6 months or maybe up to the 14-month mark. I generally recommend getting a trip on the books as early as possible. You can always shift things without any additional penalties. Move trips to different months, move them to different days, different weeks, and things like that. But as far as just getting something on the books, especially if you're going to be staying at a Disneyland hotel, get those hotel rates locked in, those hotel dates locked in beforehand. And, prices will go up later, but if you've locked in those prices by booking, you just need to pay it off later. Disney will let you actually put... Sorry, you got the Mark Twain Riverboat right here. Disney will let you put $200 down, and then that will hold your reservation, and then you have up until, I don't know the exact dates, the numbers or anything like that, because I haven't done it in a while. It's either 30 days or 45 days before your trip to pay off everything, but that'll at least lock in those rates for you. So the sooner that because Disney raises their prices once a year, the sooner that you can get locked in, the better. We'll let the Mark Twain go by. You can actually cancel up to 30 days, up to 30-day mark. After the 30-day mark, there might be penalties to cancel, but you can cancel without penalty up to 30 days before your trip. You can also purchase travel protection. There's upgrades that are available, $170 flat rate for all travelers. And I tried with a party of 2, party of 4, same cost, travel protection. When you're booking, you may ask the question, should I pre-purchase the Lightning Lane add-on for something like Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, or the Park Hopper add-on? Is that necessary to purchase before I come? Park Hopper, yes, because, you can add it when you get here, but it's much more difficult to add Park Hopper once you're here, because single day and Park Hopper, single park and Park Hopper tickets are 2 separate tickets inside the Disneyland system. So they may sell out of Park Hopper tickets, and if you only bought a single day ticket, you may not be able to upgrade to Park Hopper when you're here. They haven't really been selling out though, so you're probably fine. Just giving you a heads up that they are more difficult to add on once you get here. Plus, you have to go to the ticket booths in order to add that. It's not simple through the app. Genie Plus, on the other hand, you can add that when you're here. There it goes again. You can absolutely add Genie Plus or Lightning Lane Multipass. I'm going to get used to that name. You can add it when you get here. In fact, most people are going to add it the day of. The only benefit to pre-purchasing Lightning Lane Multipass is actually that you lock in the lowest rate. So $30 a day right now is the lowest rate. It can go up to $35 per person per day, depending on how busy it is. So pre-purchasing it will lock in the $30, but you may, if you're coming for 5 days, you may choose you only want Lightning Lane 2 of those 5 days, and when you pre-purchase, you have to do all or nothing. So I really don't recommend purchasing multi-pass ahead of time, but Park Hopper definitely. Something we haven't mentioned yet is park reservations. I mean, we might have mentioned it very briefly, but you do have to have reservations in order to come to Disneyland. If you are purchasing ticket-only packages or you're purchasing a hotel ticket package within 6 months, you can make reservations anytime. But the reservations are only available out 6 months. So if you're purchasing a hotel ticket package that's more than 6 months out, say it's for, I don't know, September of next year, June of next year. It's more than 6 months out at the moment. You won't be able to make reservations until the 6-month mark. And reservations are necessary, so don't forget to do that step as soon as you can. And what's the best configuration of days? Well, if you're coming for 3 days, which would be my primary recommendation, a good happy medium trip here to Disneyland. It's not too short, it's not too long, not too expensive, that sort of thing. 3 days at Disneyland, and I would recommend you do Disneyland to DCA Disneyland. That would be my recommended configuration for a 3-day trip. For a 4-day trip, it's a bit of a toss-up. I mean, me personally, I'd probably do 2 days in each park, but some people would recommend 3 in Disneyland and 1 in DCA. For a 5-day trip, definitely 3 in Disneyland, 2 in DCA, recommended. How about park hoppers? Okay, we just mentioned them, but do you need a park hopper if you're only coming for 1 day? No, you're a first-timer. Do not purchase a park hopper. I know it may be tempting to see both parks, but you're gonna get overwhelmed going to both parks. Stick with Disneyland, just trust me on this. If you are coming for 2 days, you don't need a park hopper. Do 1 day Disneyland, 1 day DCA. Some would even say do 2 days Disneyland and skip DCA. It's entirely up to you and what you do with that, but I don't think you need a park hopper. Park hoppers only for 3 days or more. You can check out my park hopper guide I just filmed at the same time that I'm filming this video, so I actually don't know which one's gonna drop first, but as soon as it does, I'll put a link to that park hopper guide in the description of this video, and it is a ultimate guide of everything that you need to know to help you make a decision on whether or not to purchase park hopper. You can check that out before you book your tickets. Best and worst times to visit Disneyland. Oh boy, I feel like you're best checking out my first time visitor tips video. I know that we just mentioned the park hopper video, but a couple of months ago, about a year ago actually, I put together a first time tips video, which I'll also link down in the description, that you can check out, that'll go into this in more detail. But just off the top of my head, instead of sharing the best times to visit Disneyland, how about we share the worst times? Avoid spring break, which is going to be mid-March to mid-April. This year's spring break, this coming year spring break is going to be a little bit later than usual because Easter isn't until like the 21st or something like of April. Usually by April 15th, the park is starting to clear out a little bit here, but since spring break is running later, I don't know if that means that it's going to start later, like mid-March will no longer be the start of the crazy season. But let's just say mid-March to end of April this year for sure. As a don't go to Disneyland, avoid it at all costs, especially if it's your first time. You really don't want to be, going during that crowded time. Second time of the year to avoid is fall break. That is the first 3 weeks of October. Always, first 3 weeks of October, fall break. It's not tied to any specific holiday, just what happens. It's like midterms. The end of the first quarter for a lot of schools, they take school break. You may have never heard of this thing. I think it's like a Western thing. I didn't really learn about it till we came out here. Our school's only off for a day, but they have a whole week of half days. And so other schools do take like full weeks off. Just keep that in mind. October is fall break season. It's the second busiest time outside of school break. And then any major holidays you're going to want to avoid, especially Thanksgiving and Christmas. Those are going to be the second busiest weeks of the year that aren't major seasons. Best times to visit aside from that, I used to be able to tell you February. I used to be able to tell you September. But Disney has been really trying hard this year to offer special ticket deals, special weekday ticket deals, Monday through Thursday, that are making even the weekdays, like best day of the week. I used to be able to tell you Tuesday through Thursday, best day of the week to join or to come to Disneyland. But now with these ticket deals, they're really flooding the parks during the weekdays to where weekends are almost better than weekdays nowadays. So it really is kind of hard to say the best times to come. Disney's just always busy. Be prepared for the crowds. I also have a video on dealing with crowds, so if you want to watch that, I'll put that down in the description too. Hopefully this can be just a resource for you, an ultimate guide, if you will, something that you watch multiple times over, take notes on, get your notepad out, refer to the videos down in the description because they're all tangential. They're all things that you need to know to help you plan the most awesome, epic Disneyland vacation ever. I didn't even get through all my notes. I thought I was done. No, I'm not done on this topic yet. What was my notes now? Oh, after hours events. Pay attention to after hours events whenever you're booking your tickets. They close the park early. There's a bunch of them for Disneyland starting in February. I'm going to say February through June. There's a bunch of after-hours events that will close the parks early on certain days. Star Wars Night, Disney Channel Night was a new one last year, Sweethearts Night, Princess Night, Grad Nights, things like that will close the park early. Grad Night's actually in DCA, and then there's Oogie Boogie Bash in September and October that will close the parks early. And that means that you won't want to come to Disneyland on a day that Star Wars Night's going to close the park at 8 o'clock because you'll miss out on 4 hours. You don't want to come to DCA on a day that Oogie Boogie Bash is going on because it'll close the park at 6 p.m. and you also miss out on 4 hours. So just keep these things in mind when you're booking. Also, weather. It's pretty toasty right now. End of September. It'll stay toasty through October. It'll even stay somewhat toasty beginning of November. We don't really get cold here until end of November. And even then, December can be in the 80s depending on the year. Really, really cold months are January, February, parts of March. You'll have chillier days from March to June. It'll start to get warm again in July. So if you don't like cold, avoid January through June. Come after July, that sort of thing. Actually, July is one of my favorite months to visit for weather purposes anyway. I just keep forgetting my notes. I forgot to tell you about our crowd videos too. Once a month I put together a crowd video where I just walk around the park. I show you the wait times. I show you how busy the park is. And sometimes we do other walkthroughs that you can gauge crowds as well. But if you really want some valuable information on gauging which months are the busiest, which months are the best, you can check out my crowd videos. Again, they come out once a month. And I'll put the playlist. I'll put the playlist in the description. But also, I wanted to tell you, since I mentioned July being one of my favorites, July 17th is Disneyland's birthday, and next year, 2025, is Disneyland's 70th birthday. And every big anniversary like this, they throw a whole celebration for a year long. Last time for the 60th, it was May 2015 through September 2016. So we can expect, I mean, there's no official dates yet, but we can expect that the 70th will run from May 2025 to September 2026, and you can use that information to plan your trip if you want to come before all the hoopla happens because you think that's going to draw in extra crowds, which it might. Come before May, but be aware that they're doing a lot of ride refurbishments, getting things ready for the 70th, so you may be better off coming after the 70th starts. That way you can also partake of all of the wonderful celebrations that are going on, especially the seasonal food. I'm sure there'll be amazing seasonal food for the 70th. They're launching a new show called Walt Disney A Magical Life in the Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln Theater for the 70th. So there's lots to look forward to with the 70th anniversary. There's the Mark Twain again. We're just walking around in a loop here. Let's talk about hotels now. There are 3 Disney hotels here on property. We have the Disneyland Hotel, the Grand Californian Hotel, and the Pixar Place Hotel. And if you want to stay in the Disney bubble, so to speak, you can stay at one of those 3 hotels. They're the most expensive hotels in the area, though, just as a heads up. But they do come with some perks. You're in the Disney bubble, which when I go to Walt Disney World, I always love to stay in the Disney bubble. Not so much here. I think our good neighbor hotels are actually quite decent here. But you'll get early entry. That's like the primary perk, if you will. You get early entry, which is at 7:30. Park opens at 8. Early entry's at 7:30. It's at Disneyland on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, and DCA the other 4 days of the week. And so you can take advantage of early entry and ride some rides, get some rides like Peter Pan or Space Mountain done before the regular park guests are released. And that is an exclusive perk to the Disneyland on-site hotels. And if you don't want to stay at the Disneyland hotels, again, check out Getaway Today, as I mentioned earlier. They have a lot of good neighbor hotel partners that will offer you discounts like 4th nights free, 3rd nights free, that sort of thing, in conjunction with their ticket packages. And so definitely check out Getaway today if you're looking to save some money. But there are plenty of good hotels outside of the park. Some of my favorites, just to spitball a few, are going to be the Candy Cane Inn, the Best Western Park Place Inn, and the Anaheim Majestic Garden Hotel. It is my goal to actually start staying a lot more of the local area hotels to get some reviews done. I think we've stayed at maybe 10 to 15. Got a whole playlist on hotel videos if you want to check those out down in the description as well. Just more links to add to this video so that you have like this ultimate compendium of Disney knowledge and information. But it is my goal over the coming months to stay at a lot more hotels. I'm reaching out to hotels trying to get complimentary stays in exchange for reviews and things like that. And if we're successful at landing some of those, we'll have more on the channel. I already got one, the Courtyard by Marriott. We should be staying there on October 11th. Don't know when this video is dropping, but October 11th is when we're expected to stay there. They have a water park in their hotel. It's also pretty close walking distance to the Disneyland park. And so we're going to be staying there, have a whole unique, like its own separate video review on that hotel. Be looking forward to our hotel videos. We'll show you the amenities these places have, talk about price ranges, but generally speaking, if you're looking for something really affordable, the Anaheim Majestic Garden Hotel is like my #1 recommendation for affordability. They also have a free shuttle. They're not super close for walking, but they have a free shuttle, so they bring you here. They don't have free breakfast though. That's why I like the Candy Cane Inn. Fortunately, a little bit more pricier, the Candy Cane Inn. Not with Getaway, so there's no discounts available for them either. But they have free parking, free breakfast, and it's just, there's something about the atmosphere. I love Candy Cane. Let's talk about flights or ground transportation here for a minute. There are 3 airports that you can fly into. The primary one is going to be LAX. It's probably going to be the cheapest, but it's also the furthest away, and you got to deal with LA, connections and traffic to get here. I think it's about an hour away from here too. It's not super duper close. And then we have the John Wayne Airport, which is going to be the closest. It's maybe a 15-20 minute distance away from Disneyland here. Then we have Long Beach. I don't actually know how far away that one is. Long Beach is just one that a lot of people recommend. They say it's kind of like the best of both worlds. Cheaper than John Wayne, closer than LAX, and so you might look into that. How to get to Disneyland from the airport? Of course, you can always Uber or Lyft or something like that, but there's also different public services that you can take advantage of, as well as special shuttles. I think the Carmel shuttle, spelled with a K, K-A-R-M-E-L, Carmel shuttle service is one that people often take. Disneyland also has instructions on their website on how to use the Metro or the Octa, which is like the bus or rail system. There's step-by-step instructions on how to get here from the airport there. Those are going to be a little bit more convoluted, however, not like the most direct. Of course, you could always rent a car, then you have to park the car, and be aware that a lot of the hotels, including the Disneyland hotels, charge you for parking, somewhere in the ballpark of like, well, the good neighbor hotels might charge you like $20 to $25 a night. The Disney ones charge you like $40 a night. And if you drive from your hotel to park at Disneyland charges you $35 a day at the parking garage. Just factor all these things in if you're going to rent a car. Renting a car, I mean, makes sense for some people, but others, like an Uber round trip, I feel like is maybe only $100, $120 round trip, cheaper than a rental for sure. Finding an out-of-the-way, quiet spot to just chat is getting difficult as the afternoon draws on. I didn't exactly look at the time, but it's like 3:30 in the afternoon. Park's quite busy at the moment because it is after the mix-in for Oogie Boogie Bash. What that means is, we mentioned Oogie Boogie Bash earlier, all of the guests who have Park Hopper who are staying at DCA for the morning, when those Oogie Boogie Bash ticket holders can get into the park at 3 p.m., it's making DCA more crowded. Now, the park doesn't close till 6 for those people who don't have event tickets, so there's 3 hours of overlap. We call that the mix-in. And if guests are getting frustrated with the park suddenly being slam-packed over at DCA, the Park Hopper guests are coming over here. And so it's making Disneyland even more crowded than it already was. So just things to factor, but I found a little spot. This is my usual go-to spot here. Astro Orbiter behind me. I'll show you. It's like a little like a little nook here. You know, I don't know what you call it. A little nook in the fence. Nobody comes over here. I can stand here all I want and not bother anybody, so we're all good. I've got some notes here on an iPod. I sometimes bring this up to read notes if I've got like some very note intense things, and since I've already forgotten my notes I don't know how many times in this video, I thought we would bring this up and talk about the things you need to do right before you arrive. Okay, these are the last few things that we've shared were things you need to do months before. Now we're talking like we're weeks away. We're very, very close. What do you need to do? Well, you need to create a checklist of everything that you are going to need. And I actually haven't put together a video about this topic yet. A few people have requested it. And if you want it, drop it in the comments so that I know that you want it too. And that is a list of everything that we pack when we go to Walt Disney World. Of course, we don't really pack these things when we come to Disneyland being locals, but we can absolutely give you a list of everything that we pack when we go on a Disney trip if you are interested in that, so let me know. And then check the weather. 10 days before you come, make sure that you check in the weather app. You're seeing what the temperatures are going to be like. You know, I could tell you that 60 is cold to bring a jacket, but if you are in an area where it's 0 degrees outside, 60 is going to feel like a heat wave. You may be here in shorts and flip-flops, and I'm all bundled up and wrapped up in a jacket thinking you're crazy. But, I mean, it all depends on what you're acclimated to. So, you know, check the weather app, figure out what's going on. I have a rainy day video. If it's going to rain when you're here, you can check out my rainy day video on how to deal with the rain and sort of that sort of thing at Disneyland. Familiarize yourself with the Disneyland app. Download that app. Anybody can download it. Anybody can peruse through it. You can even place mobile orders at home with the comfort of home. Just cancel it before you pay for it. Don't pay for it, but you can, you know, mess around with the mobile order system. You can see the food menus right from home with all the pictures and everything like that. See the customization options. You can see the gluten-free menus, the vegan menus, the peanut allergy menus. There's tons of allergy-friendly menus on the mobile order system. So go ahead and check that out. Familiarize yourself with the app. Check wait times. Get used to what the waits for the different rides are in the parks, that you know, oh, if that ride's posted at 30, does that mean I should ride it or not? Well, if it is usually 15 and 30 is the highest it ever gets, you probably shouldn't ride it at 30. But if 30 is the lowest it ever gets, like Rise of the Resistance, then absolutely you should ride it at 30. And you need to familiarize yourself with that, and the only way to do that is by looking at the Disneyland app various times throughout the day in the weeks leading up to your trip to familiarize yourself with what Disney is like. Then create a game plan based on all of this information. To save time in the park, you need to know what rides and what food that you want. Now, don't feel like you are chained to this game plan. I don't want you to make this plan that is hyper prioritized down to the minute, and if it gets a minute off, you get stressed out and you start having a bad day. Nobody should have a plan that is that hyper prioritized to where it actually starts to make you stressed. But absolutely have some food items that you want to get. That way, you know, whenever it's food time, you can start looking for those things. You know, it may not be at 11 a.m. like you initially planned. It may be at 11:45 or 12:35. I don't know. So don't plan it by the time. Just plan it by a list, a priority list, especially with rides. Know what rides are more important to you than others. If you can't do every single ride, know which rides are the best ones for you to go to. As far as food goes, some iconic snacks that I recommend: Mickey Bar, Mickey Pretzel, popcorn, churros, beignets, Dole Whips. I've got a whole bunch of food videos that you can check out that'll give you all the information on the best snacks. The other first time video that I just put out a few days ago will also have more information about food like this that you can check out. And like I said, just make sure that you have this plan already ready to go before you get here. It will help you immensely once you get here. Iconic rides that you can't miss when you're here: Pirates of the Caribbean, Jungle Cruise, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, Space Mountain, and Haunted Mansion. Now, some people would say Peter Pan's Flight. I have a love-hate relationship with that ride, mostly hate, and it's just because it's often got a 60-minute wait, and the ride lasts about a minute and a half, and I just don't think it's worth the wait. However, if you can manage to, like if you have early entry because you're staying on site, go to Peter Pan's Flight, absolutely. It is a classic, iconic ride. Disneyland-specific rides you won't want to miss: Indiana Jones Adventure, Matterhorn Bobsleds, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, Snow White's Enchanted Wish, Pinocchio's Daring Journey, Davy Crockett's Explorer Canoes, Chip and Dale's Gadget Coaster, Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin, Finding Nemo Submarine Voyage, and a ton over at DCA. How many rides can you expect to ride in a day? That's a good question. Oh look, there goes the Queen of Hearts. Just seeing her walk by. Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland. I feel like I've been starting to see her a lot more lately. Didn't used to see her a lot. Now all of a sudden I do. How many rides can you expect to ride in a day? If you show up at rope drop, which is 8 a.m. when the park opens, it's a term, we call it rope drop because there's a rope blocking you from entering the park. And at 8 a.m. the rope drops or is taken away, and we call that rope drop. If you're here for rope drop when the park opens, you'll probably have at least 5 rides done before 10 a.m., potentially upwards of 7 rides done. If you follow my rope drop strategies, another playlist I will drop in the description of the video as well. My family's ridden every ride at DCA before 6 p.m. without Lightning Lane Multipass before. There's only 18 rides over there. So for Disney California Adventure, very manageable to get all the rides done in a single day. But over here at Disneyland, doing our best, going the fastest we could possibly do. We did 27 rides out of 34. Definitely do not recommend that for you guys. We were basically killing ourselves to do it. Now, you know, we kind of had fun because it was like a game to us, but it would not have been fun for a first timer. Just trust me on that. So there are 34 rides here at Disneyland. You will not get them all done in a single day. You will not. Okay, you won't. I'm just telling you that right now off the bat. We've also ridden every Lightning Lane Multipass ride in a single day in both parks. I think there's 20 on the system. We have managed to do that before. Again, not something that I would recommend to you as first timers, just giving you kind of an idea of what is possible. However, for casual days here at Disneyland, I would expect 12 to 15 rides throughout the day. If you can get 7 done before 10 a.m., yes, that means you're only going to get 8 done from then till park close, more than likely, because of how much busier it gets. Now, if you add Lightning Lane Multipass, that number can go up a little bit, but 15 rides probably on average, 20 if you're really efficient, definitely possible to do over here at Disneyland. Of course, time of year is greatly going to impact this. Spring break, fall break, those sorts of things, and Lightning Lane Multipass is going to be a huge help. Also, preparations before you get here, make sure you do a lot of walking at home. You are going to do a lot of walking here in the park. Go on walks around your neighborhood at home. Build up that daily endurance. Do it daily. Try to go longer as the days and weeks progress. Maybe you only made 15 minutes that first day. Try to go on hour-long walks before you reach your trip. So this actually needs to start a couple of months before you get here, not like just in the last couple of weeks. But build up that walking endurance. I know a lot of it also comes to standing, but trust me, just being on your feet, even walking as often as we do this. We walk in the neighborhood all the time. Every single day we go on 1 to 2 walks of varying lengths, about 30 to 60 minutes. This is just Amy and I, and normally anyway, not even prepping for a Disney trip, but I definitely recommend going on walks. If you're taking your kids, leave the stroller at home, even around your neighborhood, let them walk. They need to build up the endurance too. You'll also need to make dining reservations 60 days in advance if you're planning on eating at a table service restaurant. The table service restaurants here at Disneyland are Carnation Cafe, Blue Bayou, which is everyone's favorite because of the amazing ambiance, River Belle Terrace, and Cafe Orleans. Additionally, Oga's Cantina has reservations, and Star Wars Galaxy's Edge if you want to go to Oga's Cantina. Over at Disney California Adventure, Lamplight Lounge is the most popular dining reservation, but Wine Country Trattoria and Carthay Circle are additional restaurants that require reservations if you plan to eat at those. You need to make reservations 60 days in advance. There's also hotel restaurants to go to, like Goofy's Kitchen at the Disneyland Hotel, or Storytellers, or the Grand Californian Craftsman Grill. These all are inside the hotels. Pixar Place has one too, although I don't think it's owned by Disney, so I'm not sure if you can actually make it through Disney's system. I think it's called Great Maple. I ate there when we stayed at Pixar Place. It was pretty good. Definitely recommend going to Great Maple. Really liked that restaurant there at Pixar Place, but you need to make reservations 60 days in advance at 6 a.m. California time. So you guys on the East Coast are lucky. that you get to book it at 9 a.m. Anybody in, like, say, Hawaii, unfortunately, that's 3 a.m. for you. And those Aussie friends of mine out there, could be 11 p.m., could be 1 a.m., depending on the time of year. Unfortunately, folks in the UK, you'll have a good time of it too. I think you're 8 hours ahead of us. So what's that put you at 2 in the afternoon? So pretty decent for you guys to make reservations. Blue Bayou is the popular one, as is Lamplight Lounge. Sometimes they're really hard to get reservations, so I recommend you check out Mouse Dining. I'm not affiliated with them. I don't get any money to say this, but Mouse Dining is just a free service that, well, the first 4 alerts are free. You can set up some alerts to go to your email whenever reservations become available for dates that you want, and they'll shoot you an email as soon as something becomes available. So if you can't get the reservation you're looking for, don't give up. Set alerts on Mouse Dining. You may yet be able to grab them. What else? Oh, check the refurb calendar before you come. The refurb calendar is available on Disneyland's website. You need to check their hours and events at the very, very top of the Disneyland website. And the refurb calendar, if you scroll to the bottom of that calendar, the hours and events calendar, there's a tab for refurbishments, closed for refurbishment. It'll show you what rides, restaurants, carts, things like that around the parks are going to be closed. These are available 6 weeks in advance. So once you reach the 6 weeks mark, you can start checking the refurb calendar for your dates to see what rides are going to be closed to set proper expectations. Ride closures are normal, okay? They are. Ride closures are normal for different times. Sometimes they're only closed a week, sometimes they're closed a month, sometimes they're closed longer than that. But, you know, rides need to be maintained, touched up, fixed up, things like that. And it's a fact of life. Just be aware of that. I also put out monthly construction updates that go over all this information. So if you want to stay up to date on everything that's going on at Disneyland, you can check out my construction updates as well. Whew, that was a long one. That was a 13-minute segment. And we're not done. We are not done. But I need to go have a break before we continue. Whoa, Maleficent. I don't know when I have ever seen her in the park.
Yes, this is from she traded it.
This was not part of the tips of this video. But Disneyland characters are free roaming all the time. I literally have never, ever seen her. Here's another tip. Free cups of water, get them. Get them. You can get water for free. You don't have to pay for it. Just go up and get it. Ask at any register. They'll give, well, not any register, but ask at any quick service counter. The carts don't have them, but any quick service will. But yeah, Maleficent, wow. I thought that might be a first. I don't think I've ever seen her. We're just wandering up to my next filming location. There's Captain Hook and Cruella de Vil, both normal characters. I've seen them out a lot. Cruella is one of my favorites. Here's a quiet little cozy spot. Right down there is the old motorboat dock, one of the defunct attractions here at Disneyland. Got the monorail track up there, and It's a Small World tucked in over there. But this area up here, very, very nice and quiet. So good place to get some relaxing done and talk. Now we have finally made it to arrival day. It's time to leave for your Disneyland vacation. What needs to be done? Well, first off, number one, plan for more time than you think, be it flight delays, baggage pickup, rental car pickup, shuttle pickup, traffic, whatever. There's probably going to take longer than you think. So just plan for all of that. There was one time we got stuck in Dallas for like 4 hours because of a flight delay. It was not fun. We were already supposed to get into Orlando at like 8 or 9 at night. We didn't get in till midnight. Didn't get to our hotel till later. That was not fun. But just expect things to take longer than you think. Even if it was 100% perfect the last 10 times you traveled, doesn't mean it's going to be perfect this time. So just factor it in that it might happen. If you're planning on grabbing a bite to eat at Downtown Disney for lunch, or you need to make a reservation, don't book it for the best case scenario, okay? Like, book it for the worst case scenario. Like, hey, if you expect that your plane should land at 12, and you think, well, let's say your plane lands at 10, you think you're gonna be at Disneyland and all settled by 11, ready to have lunch by 11:30. Don't book a reservation for 11:30. You know what I mean? Book something for dinner that night instead. How about that? Don't do lunch, do dinner. Better off that you're better safe than sorry. Or better yet, don't make a reservation at all. But I think now you can cancel reservations up to 2 hours before. It used to be 24 hours. I think it's 2 hours now. I will put a little text along the bottom of the screen if that's the case. I have to ask my wife. She's the one that knows. Oh, it's right here in my notes, actually. How about that? My notes say you can cancel 2 hours before your reservation. If you cancel after or no show, that means you don't show up for your reservation, you will be charged $10 per person on the reservation for missing. There goes the monorail. It's shiny. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Shiny. That was the Disney 100 monorail, and we always call it the shiny one when it goes by. Disney does require a credit card to hold a reservation for this reason, so you will not be charged, though, unless you know a show. Just keep that in mind. Try the walk-up list if you really want a table service restaurant on arrival day. Can you squeeze in a park day on arrival day? Well, it depends when you arrive. Disneyland is open until 12 a.m. midnight most nights, or 10 p.m. weekdays in the off-season. Disneyland California Adventure is open until 10 p.m. most nights, or 9 p.m. weekdays in the off-season. Flying from the East Coast earns you 3 hours on your travel time, so it may only take you 2 hours on the clock if you have a direct flight. If you're leaving from Orlando, like say you live near Disney World, when we fly from Orlando to San Diego direct, it's 5 hours, but it's only 2 hours on the clock. So if I leave at 5 in the afternoon, I'm arriving at 7 p.m. at night. Oh, there goes the shiny again. All right. So you do earn some time flying from the East Coast, so you can factor that in. Hotel check-ins usually are around 3 p.m. or 4 p.m., but you can often store your bags with Bell Services when you first arrive at no additional fee. So if you get in at 9 a.m., you can store your bags with Bell Services, no problem, and then head into the park. Now, early check-in is sometimes available depending on the hotel, but there might be an added fee. And if you're driving, some hotels will let you park before check-in and some will not, depending on how tight their spaces are. So if you are driving and you're going to a hotel that does not have early parking, you may have to go to the parking garage, park and pay for that, and then go back to the hotel and park and pay for that. So again, there's things for you to consider. But there are definitely hotels that have free parking, such as the Castle Inn and Suites on Harbor Boulevard and Candy Cane. They both have free parking. There's a couple others that have free parking as well. You just have to look around for them. But the hotels on Harbor tend to have tighter spaces, so a lot of them do charge for parking and only have certain spots that are available. Candy Cane's like one of the rare ones that usually will work with you. Same with Castle Inn and Suites as far as parking goes. Disneyland does not have large lockers. Okay, I've looked. They have 18 by 25 by 37. That is the largest locker that is available. This is large enough for some carry-ons, like smaller carry-ons. But the dimension does not need. The dimension does need to include the wheels. So let me say that again, 18 inches by 25 inches by 37 inches. And that is like, if the wheels are longer than that, it's not going to fit. It needs to include the wheels in those dimensions if you are going to fit a carry-on in one of the lockers there. It will not fit your big luggage. You will need to leave it with your hotel on check-in day and check-out day with Bell Services and collect it right before you leave. Other things to do on arrival day is explore downtown Disney. There's shopping at the World of Disney, tons of other shops around as well, plenty of places to eat. You can even walk over to the Garden Walk, the Anaheim Garden Walk, check out the stores. I mean, it's kind of like a ghost town every time I've been over there, but they do have some good restaurants, at least on the Garden Walk, even if the Garden Walk itself feels like a ghost town. And just enjoy your hotel, go swimming, that sort of thing. Watch the fireworks from the Esplanade. The Esplanade's the area between the two parks, between Disneyland and Disney California Adventure. Go watch the fireworks from your hotel, those sorts of things. Do you need a Magic Band Plus when you come? I would only recommend Magic Bands if you plan on coming to Disneyland again, or if you are frequent visitors of Walt Disney World or Aulani, Disney Cruise Line, any of the other Disney type things where Magic Bands are useful. If you're just coming for like a 1-2 day trip, that sort of thing, probably don't need a Magic Band. They're nice to have. I like them. I'm wearing one right now. Can't really show it to you because I'm holding this camera, but I like Magic Bands if you feel like you're going to use them anyway. Security entry. Regardless of what you choose to do, if you enter Disney property outside of the hotels, you will encounter the safe zone. Basically, from Harbor Boulevard all the way to the Disneyland Hotel is the safe zone through downtown Disney and both parks. You are required to enter security checks to get into that area. If you're in downtown Disney and enter a hotel for a meal, like you go to the Grand Californian, you will need to re-enter the security checkpoint to get back into the safe zone in downtown Disney. The same goes for if you're at DCA and then you visit the Grand Californian, because they have their own unique exit and entrance into the park. You will need to go through security again to get back into the park. There are 3 major security checkpoints. There's one at Mickey and Friends, there's one at the Toy Story parking lot, and then there's one on Harbor Boulevard. There's a 4th major security checkpoint is over by downtown Disney, because there's a lot of people that drive and park in downtown Disney parking just to go to downtown Disney. There is another security checkpoint over that way as well. You will encounter a bag check where cast members need to search every pocket. So do yourself a favor and unzipper everything before you get up there. It will speed things along. Items that are not allowed include the usual suspects, plus pepper spray, selfie sticks, wagon strollers, oversized strollers. Strollers can't be larger than 31 by 52 inches. This fits most double strollers, but oversized doubles and standard triples won't pass. There's also a metal detector there as well, so just keep that in mind. Speaking of strollers, we do recommend bringing your own. Strollers are free on airplanes and don't count towards baggage allowances. So if you were to rent one here at the park, the stroller rental at the parks, now this is old information because I haven't actually checked the new prices, if they have new prices. It might have gone up $1 or $2 since I put this little note together. But $18 for a single stroller, $36 for a double stroller. Their strollers are stiff, hard plastic. They are clunky to wheel around. They are not comfortable. Even a cheap $25 stroller that you bring yourself will be better. If you're worried about breaking an expensive stroller or getting stolen by a cheaper one, that sort of thing, definitely recommend that you bring your own. Regardless of the value of your stroller, you will be parking it in a sea of other strollers that look just like yours. Consider marking it in some way. We used to use a colored ribbon, like we'd buy some fabric and then we'd tie it on the handle, some special like fabric that nobody else would have. You know, just any sort of ribbon will do, just so long as it's got a nice little pattern to it. And other people put like their name hangers or badges on strollers as well. That's a potential possibility. Is it safe to leave your stroller? You know, I've heard horror stories, but they seem to be one-off incidents. In 8 years of bringing a stroller to Disney and over 100 visits, I've never had a stroller stolen or anything stolen from my stroller. The stories you hear are likely from people with extremely expensive strollers in the $1,000 plus range. We've left our stroller in the same parking spot unattended for 4 hours as we've hit up all the rides in the general area around the stroller parking and never had an issue. Be aware that Disney does move your stroller, however. They frequently repark them to free up spots for more strollers. So it will almost certainly not be in the place where you left it. Another reason why you need a marker on your stroller to be able to tell. ECVs and wheelchairs. While talking about stroller rental, in the same place that they have stroller rentals, you can also rent wheelchairs and ECVs. ECVs are first come, first served, so if they run out, you are out of luck. Disneyland ECVs also can't be removed from the property. So if you're staying at a Good Neighbor hotel, you'll need to get to the park if you want to rent a Disney ECV. What most people do is rent a third-party ECV, and the company can actually deliver it straight to your hotel and pick it up at the end. I don't know a lot about this, but some people online have said that hotels will rent them. Some hotels, obviously, not others. So check with your hotel first. Another person recommended the company Scooter Bug. Yet another recommended D&R Mobility. If you are enjoying this video and finding it helpful, please hit the like and subscribe button. It really does help out the channel. And if you want to save money on your next Disneyland vacation, call my friends at Getaway today and tell them that SoCal Disney Dad sent you. Or click the link down in the description and use my coupon code to save on their already discounted packages. I am not gonna lie, my arm is exhausted from these like 10-15 minute plus talking sessions, we are ready to move on to the next topic, point of topic here, and that is going to be your first park day. So you're here, you've already survived arrival day and all of the plane tickets and everything like that. What I've done, by the way, I was just mentioning my arm being tired, is I've set up the tripod. And I've found a little spot that maybe we can set up the tripod. You got It's a Small World there in the background, currently under refurbishment, so you can see the construction walls that are going up. It's getting ready for It's a Small World Holiday, which will debut on November 15th. However, your first park day, entering Disneyland for the first time. I want you to be aware that tickets are all digital and on your phone nowadays. They do not print physical tickets. This is actually a frequent question that I get. Can I get a physical ticket for everybody in my party? Unfortunately not. If they want to have their own ticket, they are going to have the Disneyland app, download it, and have it that way. I don't know, I really don't know any other way other than maybe printing it at home. Maybe you get an email with them and you can print them at home on like a big piece of paper. I usually see people coming in with 8.5 by 11s, so I imagine you've got a way to print something somehow, but they don't print out the little cards anymore. They don't do that. Everything's digital, so just keep that in mind. Now, on your first day, you enter with your ticket, they will take your picture. This is just to ensure that you don't try to get someone else into the park on your ticket. You won't need to do this on any other day, as they will have your photo in the system. And that is, of course, unless when you're booking your 2-day trip, you are booking 2 single-day visits instead of a multi-day ticket. That is an expert hack to save some money whenever you are visiting on both 2 Tier 0 days. A Tier 0 day is the cheapest day that you can come, and as you take a look at ticket prices for 1-day visits, you'll see that the price fluctuates depending on the day. That's a really advanced money-saving tip hack that you can check out in my money-saving tips video, but it's not something that we're going to explore here in great depth. But if you do book 2 separate single-day tickets to save some money, you'll have to take your photo both days. It's really the only downside to doing that. But oftentimes a multi-day ticket will be more beneficial to you. You just have to do the research and figure out what's best for you. Tickets have in and out privileges, meaning that you can leave and re-enter the park as often as you like throughout your stay. They don't do hand stamps, so don't worry about that. Rope drop. Okay, so we talked about rope drop. What is rope drop again? Just to remind you, it's 8 a.m. when the park opens. I highly recommend that you come for rope drop. It is some of the best times to be in the park, some of the least crowded times for sure. Consider rope dropping Fantasyland, especially if you're buying Lightning Lane Multi-Pass. The reason for that is all of the rides in Fantasyland are not on Lightning Lane. And so if you want to ride those rides when they have a lower weights, definitely do Fantasyland first. A lot of the rides are like 1 to 2 minutes long. And so I highly recommend that you try to knock a bunch of those out first thing in the morning. You might be able to get 7 to 8 of them done in the first hour even. Except Peter Pan. I would not recommend doing Peter Pan. It always has a long line, and it's what I call a rope drop killer. You'll spend 40 minutes in that line for Peter Pan, and you'll waste the whole first hour. Rise of the Resistance is another one that I consider to be a rope drop killer. You will get far more done if you go to other rides first, especially the Fantasyland rides. They're like 2-minute rides, and you can knock a lot of them out real quick when they don't have any lines first thing in the morning. I would avoid Fantasyland after 11 a.m. Or noon or so. It gets really, really crazy packed back there. Like, you won't even have room to breathe. That's how packed it gets back there. The second best time to ride Fantasyland rides is after 10 p.m. You might not make it that long. I know one of my kids usually can't make it that long, so factor that in as well. You may want to rope drop it as the best opportunity to get those rides done for you. Again, check out the various rope drop strategies. One of them is a Fantasyland rope drop strategy, and that will be able to help you out the most with that. I do recommend Lightning Lane Multi-Pass. I've got countless videos explaining how Lightning Lane Multi-Pass works. I have a how-to, like a step-by-step, what to do on the app. It was called Genie Plus at the time, so don't let the name of the video fool you. The system has not changed, just has a new name, so you can still figure out how it all works by watching that video. I'll also put the playlist to the Lightning Lane videos in the description as well, because you're going to want to research that. That's way more time than I can even bother to crack the topic here. Virtual queues, there's only one currently going on, and that is for Haunted Mansion, but it's just because the standby queue is under construction. It'll go off at some point, and it'll go back to standby, and there won't be any virtual queues, unless, of course, Tiana's Bayou Adventure, when it debuts on November 15th. That one could potentially have a virtual queue. We won't know until it gets closer to opening time, but virtual queues are done through the Disneyland app, and they drop at 7 a.m. and 12 p.m. noon. 7 a.m. if this is your starting park, or 12 p.m. noon if you started over in DCA and you want to come do Haunted Mansion over here. You can grab it at 12 p.m. They also have a virtual queue for World of Color when it's open. World of Color is one of our nighttime spectaculars that I absolutely highly recommend. World of Color virtual queues drop at 12 p.m. noon. You don't have to, it doesn't matter what park you start at or anything like that, to grab a World of Color virtual queue. You can grab that whenever. Let's see. Afternoon breaks. Make sure you're taking afternoon breaks whenever you come to Disneyland. The hottest part of the day, if you're coming during a hotter month, is going to be from 1 to 4. Usually I'd recommend at least 2 hours during that 3-hour window. You go back to your hotel, you rest, you recoup. Even if you don't have any kids, it's just a good idea, especially if you plan to make it from rope drop to park close. That is 8 a.m. to 12 a.m. midnight. It's a long time to go without any sort of rest or recharge. Take the afternoon breaks. You will thank me. I promise you that. They do have lockers available here at Disneyland on Main Street. They have lockers in both parks as well as the Esplanade. They cost $7 a day for a standard one, $10 a day for a large locker. You do have that locker the entire day. Just you won't get it tomorrow, so don't leave anything in it overnight. You'll lose everything that way. But you can keep the locker, use it, go get stuff out of it, put stuff in it as much as you want throughout the day. I get a locker quite frequently, especially when it's colder, because it'll warm up, and then I'll take the jacket off and I'll put the jacket in storage, and then I'll go get it before I leave. Sometimes we put food in there. We have leftover food, snacks, things like that we don't want to carry around. Souvenirs is another one. Lockers are good for a lot of different things, and so I usually am getting lockers a lot. Park close, we already mentioned the park close hours, 12 a.m., midnight, or 10 p.m. depending on if it's off season or not. 10 or 9 depending on the season for Disney California Adventure. I could go through a bunch of time-saving hacks, but I feel like this video is getting long. I'll put a time-saving hacks video in the description of this one as well. You can check that out. I'm going to skip over parades. We mentioned that in our other first-time visitor video, so you just watch that one. And what else is important to share? Last park day. Here we go. Last park day. If it's your last day is also the day you leave, you need to pack the night before if you can, okay? You don't want to be wasting valuable morning time. You want to be here at rope drop, so don't waste those valuable morning hours packing. Pack the night before if you can. Get up early to have time not to stress about leaving, all right? You're going to have to go through your room, make sure that it's clear, do a once-over, check under the beds, make sure that you didn't leave any stuffed animals or books, make sure there's no kids' clothes in the sheets, all of that sort of thing. So get up early so you don't have time to, or so you won't, rather, so you will have time not to stress about leaving. Then check out, drop your bags with Bell Services, and head to the park. Use this day to get anything that you missed. Of course, things that you wished you would have done earlier and you still haven't done it. Use your last day to make sure you tie up those final loose ends before you head home. Also, use this day to ride your favorite rides again. Those things that you've enjoyed from the first couple of days in your trip. Make sure that you are using this last day to re-ride those favorites. Also consider the longer boat rides on your last day. We're talking It's a Small World right there behind me, Pirates of the Caribbean, Jungle Cruise, Mark Twain Riverboat. These rides that they're long, they're slow, and you get to sit down for the most part. Mark Twain Riverboat does have a few seats, not a lot. But you'll want to save your feet because your feet are probably going to be hurting, especially if you're here for 5 days and you're not used to it. That's why you need to prep. I mentioned prepping, okay? Do a lot of walking before you get here. Did my fan turn off? I think my fan died. How about that? Been running it all day. Pretty toasty here today, 82 degrees. I have a link to this down in the description. I've been saying that a lot in this video. Down in the description. I don't know why that guy keeps putting his vehicle in reverse. For no apparent reason. I think the kid, he has a kid on it. That's why you keep hearing the beeping. Anyway, and the kid keeps pushing it into reverse. Bring ibuprofen and take it consistently all day long. It will stave off some feet pain. Now, I wouldn't recommend this long term, but while you're here at Disney, absolutely, it will prevent your feet from swelling and bruising, at least to a certain extent. Do something different on your last day too, okay? If you find yourself getting bored or, you're bored of rides anyway, there's other things to do. Go see the Tiki Room, go ride a Main Street vehicle, do the castle walkthrough, head on over to Tom Sawyer Island, go to the animation experience at Disney California Adventure, Animation Academy, and learn to draw your favorite characters. Go to Turtle Talk with Crush, it's really awesome. See Mickey's Built Her Magic. There are things to do besides rides here. And so definitely check out those. I have everything that you can do at Disneyland and Disney California Adventure that are not rides, separate videos. Guess where they're going? Down in the description. And that's it for our time here today at Disneyland, giving you an ultimate guide for your first time visit to the park. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button on your way out. If you still have questions, drop them in the comments below. I'm always happy to answer them. Click one of these many videos that I recommended to you. I'm going to put it right here so that you can just keep watching. Thanks for watching, and we will see you again next time.